Hello, readers and writers of fiction. Welcome to another Author's Corner with Clint Dawson. I apologize for the setting. My dogs have some things going on, so there's some reconstruction going on in the room I normally do video. So I do apologize about the setting. Hopefully it's a little bit homey. Also, I am doing this video. It's the first video I'm doing off a computer cam. I'm going to eventually get some more digital cameras for better quality. However, today I wanted to talk to you guys about Andrzej Sapkowski and his works of fiction known as the Witcher series. As most of you probably know, The Witcher is a new show on Netflix. It is a fantasy series that many people are comparing to Game of Thrones. I will delve more into that in a little bit. Originally, they were a series of books. They started out as a serialization, and then was 2 novels of short stories, and then there are standalone novels that came after that. Until the trilogy gaming series came out, which if you're a big RPG role-playing gamer like myself, you've heard of them, and that's actually where I fell in love with the story, and then I went back and read the novel afterwards. Then I heard they were doing a TV series. The TV series is something I'm going to only touch on briefly. I mainly want to talk to you guys about the books, and hopefully talking to you about the books will make you want to read them, or at least check out the TV show and then jump into the world of the books. Because the books are a very different kind of fantasy. A lot of the fantasy that we are used to reading over in the Western Hemisphere is either heavily European based with castles and sorcerers and witches and blah 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 blah, or the very westernized concept of fantasy, which still has medieval elements but is more on the veins of, say, Harry Potter or Tolkien or Lord of the Rings, etc., 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 Chronicles of Narnia. What I personally like about The Witcher is, yes, it is set in a medieval time period. Mainly there's a lot of Slavic overtones in terms of culture and religion and name enunciations. But it starts out with The Witcher is basically a world, present day, in an undisclosed time back in the past, on a land simply known as a continent. And there was this thing that happened called the conjunction of spheres, which basically allowed for all of these alternate worlds and universes to collide, which there comes in the mystical element of the monsters and the creatures. In terms of the magic system that the author builds, the only people that knew how to do magic back in the days of old were the elves. And the elves came into, through the travel of the conjunction of the spears, when the spears opened up and aligned, the elves came into the humans' world, basically, and I'm not really giving you any spoilers on the main story, I'm just giving you a background to see if you want to, get into the series. The elves were basically taught humans how to use magic, and then humans, of course, vain creatures that we are, think we're superior to everyone, although the elves in the book also think the same. We learned the magic, and then we started killing off the elves. So, present day, where The Witcher takes place, men is prevalent, the elves are scorned, and there are these few select people known as the Witchers, that they go through this mutation process, that only 3 out of 10 young boys survive, and that's why they're so rare and sought out nowadays, is because they've pretty much died off. And they go through this mutation process, which allows them to have higher adrenaline, quicker agilities, and they can take these mutations that would these potion mutations that would normally kill regular people, and they use that to fight monsters. So they basically have become mercenaries for hire to kill monsters. The story is about Geralt of Rivia, which he's not actually even from Rivia, but you can read more about that in the book. And he's kind of a loner. He's got like a grunt, stoic sense of humor, if you could say. He's very dry. And basically the story intertwines eventually to him and Yennefer, which is a sorceress of the Lodge, which I won't get into that because that's a little bit of a spoiler. And then Ciri, who is of the Elder Blood. And I won't explain what that means either because I don't want to give spoilers. Anyway, the two first books, The Last Wish and Swords of Destiny, are a collection of short stories. And they follow all three of these characters individually, and then they eventually intertwine in the novels. And to me, that's where it really gets interesting. I think it's a good read. I think it's interesting if you are into magic and fantasy that's not over the top, that's not like on smack every page, and also care more about how the magic affects the characters and how that brings about certain consequences that they have to deal with, then the Witcher series is for you. I love them. This is not a review for those because this is for reading, but if you are an RPG gamer, you should check them out. Now, quickly, to go a little bit on the series, because we're nearing about 10 minutes, and I only want to talk about this for about 2 more minutes. The series has been in development for about 2 years. It just came out on Netflix. It's fantastic. It's got some really mixed reviews. It's crazy. Henry Cavill by no means is a bad actor. I loved him in The Tudors. I loved him in, more thought-engrossing roles. And I kind of just had this Superman vision of, Joe, he's just going to be this Hollywood leading man that they're going to put in there. No, this man got into character. It was ridiculous. He read all the books. He read them before. He even applied for the cast. He was a fan beforehand. He brings that very stoic, dry presence to Geralt that I've come to know and love from the books and the games. People have been comparing it to Game of Thrones. I don't really think that's fair, but then I do at the same time. Game of Thrones was a fantasy show that surpassed a lot of boundaries. It changed what we thought of fantasy from a TV genre. So rightfully so, every fantasy show that comes out can be compared to Game of Thrones, and I think that's actually a good thing. I mean, for The Witcher. I mean, to Game of Thrones, no matter what you thought about the ending, in terms of the character development and the scenery and the cinematography and the script writing, like it was up here. And to be compared to something that high so early in your first season, I think that's a huge compliment. They did spend a decent amount of money on their episodes for each season, and like I said, I thought the battles were good visually. The VFX and the CGI could have been a little bit better on the battle in the last 2 episodes of the series. They want to include Geralt and Ciri and Yennefer and get them all together at once. Well, the first season is adapted by the collection of stories called The Last Wish. And the characters are not together. Well, if I remember correctly, Ciri's not even in The Last Wish, or she might be in the last couple of stories. But they basically wanted to bring you the character depth of all these 3 characters and make you care about them before they plop them all together and you're like, who is this? They basically built the show, The Witcher TV series, for people who had not seen it while trying to stay true to fans of the book and the game series. And that's a tall order, and I think they did amazing. Like I said, the reviews are mixed, but I don't really care about critics' reviews. I care about fan reviews. #1 stream show on the streaming, for the last week of 2019, surpassed The Mandalorian on most stream shows. It is the second most popular stream show on Netflix of 2019 behind Stranger Things. Stranger Things was out for at least 6 months. The Witcher was only out for 11 days of 2019, so that is huge to me. If you are a fan of fantasy, I recommend that you read the books. If you are kind of iffy about getting into a 6-7 book series, watch The Witcher the TV show. I will tell you, it is very much like Game of Thrones in that, since it is on a streaming network, there is a lot of nudity. I think nudity is okay if it's plot divisive and it serves a purpose of character or plot continuation. If it's just for the sake of being vulgar, I'm not a fan of it. But I think it was done in good taste. It's adherent to the books. Just don't watch it with little kids. But it is a great show. Check out the books. Check out the TV show. If you check it out and you like it or you don't like it, comment and let me know, because I'm curious. Because The Witcher is definitely a unique type of fantasy. It's 8 episodes that are hour long. You could binge that in a weekend. So I hope you enjoyed my little review without trying to give you too much spoilers. And you all have a good Sunday night.